Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about being on a deserted island, a book about the Underground Railroad, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Paul Louis Lessard. Paul is a Broadway performer who recently played Herod in the Broadway hit Jesus Christ Superstar.
Hey everyone, glad to be here. Thanks for asking me. And looking forward.
Well, that's good. And today, we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a splash.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Stranded Desert Island Survival. This game is made by Lupada Games. Because it's on Roblox, you are able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free. You might remember Lupada Games from their other games, Big Bomb and Mash, but this is their most popular game.
Sounds good.
So first off, you appear on a single piece of land in the middle of the ocean. There are some trees on it and you are told to cut them down. You'll use the wood to increase the size of your island. Well, that should be easy. Then you plant more trees to chop down. This may take a while, but you don't have a lot of time. There is an ocean liner that has crashed, and you have to go save the people in the water from the sharks. You make a raft out of wood and you go save someone. Now you have your first friend. They will work with you and chop wood. But now that you have someone with you, you need to feed them and give them a place to sleep. So you'll learn to build houses, farms, outposts, and to defend against pirates as well. And so much more. I got my dad to try and he rescued over 25 people / minions. That is a lot of food to make every single day. A lot.
Sounds like a lot of food to me.
Well, I give Stranded Desert Island Survival 8 out of 10 stars because even though my dad really liked it, I kind of felt like it was a bit long to get started. Once you have a lot of people, you get to keep doing a lot of things to keep them fed. So I have more fun riding around in the raft looking at other people's islands.
Sounds like a solid video game review.
Thank you. And now it's time for the book of the week, History Smashes the Underground Railroad. This book's written by Kate Messner. Let me to the back of the book. In fact, Paul, would you like to do the honors?
I would. All right, let's take a look. Myths, lies, secrets. Smash the stories behind famous moments in history and expose the hidden truth. Before the Civil War, most people escaping enslavement found help from white Quakers who used quilts and lanterns, right? Wrong. Most freedom seekers who had help got it from free black people. Secret codes and messages were not as common as you think. Discover this nonfiction series that smashes everything you thought you knew about history.
Well, this is an AR book and it's worth 4 points. It's rated for 6th grade and 9th month. This is a great series about myths and lies about history. So this book is pretty cool. They take a subject and follow it through history and find out all the misconceptions that people used to think about it. This one is about the Underground Railroad. So the book starts off with the fact that while many ships brought slaves to America, some of the slaves killed the crews and took over the ship and returned to Africa. The book also talked about the fact that most of the freedom seekers used boats, not underground railroads, to get to the north. Some would hide in the floorboards of the ship, and when a mayor heard a rumor that they were slaves under the boards, they brought axes and pitchforks to jab under the ships. The captain himself grabbed an axe and started to hack at his own ship, so the mayor stopped his men and let them move on. The captain saved a lot of people that day. I give History Smashes to the Underground Railroad 10 out of 10 stars because it was a riveting story, and I really liked learning that Harriet Tubman was old in the pictures, but was really young while she was fleeing slaves and carried a gun. She would threaten anyone that wanted to turn back so that they would not give away any information and put the group at risk. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Paul Louis Lessard! Paul is a Broadway performer who recently played Herod in the Broadway hit Jesus Christ Superstar. I got to see him perform and it was amazing.
Oh man, thank you so much. What an intro. This is so fun, and I am happy to be here and happy to answer any questions you might have. So
No
let's
problem.
get started. Yeah.
So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
It's so fun. Not sure if I've ever actually done a show like this with so many different segments. I love that there's video games and book recommendations, and yeah, doing a great job.
Thank you. So you are a Broadway performer. Can you explain to my listeners exactly what that means and how do you get started?
Sure. So, a Broadway show is, usually a musical or a play that's done in a big theater. Sometimes it's on Broadway in New York City, and other times those shows tour around the country, so lots of different people can see the show. And how I got started, I think you asked, started singing and dancing when I was really young, did the plays and musicals at my church, at my community theater and in my school theater, and studied it in college, and then moved to New York, and here I am.
Well, I know a lot of people that have worked in theater. How is working on Broadway different?
Well, in ways it's not different. When you get down to it, no matter if you're performing on Broadway or in your school musical, it's really about the collaborative effort of lots of people coming together, both on stage and off stage, to create a story and try to teach, a message or a lesson, or really leaving the audience, with some questions or insight into any subject or theme. And Broadway, sometimes just means things might be a little bigger, they might be a little flashier, the theaters might be a little bigger with more people, but when you get down to it, theater is all about coming together and putting on a show no matter where you are.
Okay. Now, I saw you perform in Jesus Christ Superstar. My dad loves that show. Do you play King Herod? What did you like about the part?
Oh man, well, King Herod is considered a villain, I guess, and I love playing villains because they're usually a little more interesting, a little more colorful, they're outlandish, they can really go big, go like 120%, and with Herod, I feel I really am able to do that and just kind of be fun and crazy on stage in Jesus Christ Superstar. So he's allowed to be like really silly and kind of kooky, and I think that's fun to do on stage.
Okay. Well, what is the best part about being a performer on Broadway?
Coming together with a cast and musicians and putting on a show in front of an audience can really be a special moment. Life and the world can be really crazy at times. And if we can take an audience and transport them to another place, even, for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and kind of make them forget about the outside world for a little bit and provide some entertainment, then, that can be, really touching and for a performer. And so the ability to tell a story and offer some entertainment, offer some laughs, maybe cry, maybe sing along, that can be a really amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. So how many different shows have you been a part of?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna age myself. I'm 36. Started doing musicals when I was, I think, 6 years old at my church. At this point, well over 40 or 50 different shows. Sometimes when I would work in the summer in college, I would do 3 or 4 or 5 in one summer. So after a while, that really starts to add up.
So which is the show that you are looking forward to the most?
Um, I really was looking forward to and still look forward to doing this show every night. Jesus Christ Superstar. It's been around for 50 years. A lot of people know it. A lot of people love it. And it's a rock opera. So just like an opera, there's no spoken dialogue. It's all music. It's all singing. And I love singing more than anything. So I've loved being a part of this show, and I still look forward to doing it every night.
Sweet. So what is the hardest part about being a Broadway performer?
You know, being in theater and entertainment is a little different than other occupations where maybe there's a ladder and a progression of, you start here and you do this job, and then maybe you're promoted, and then maybe you move up. With each show, it's its own experience and its own job. And so when that ends, you kind of have to go back to the drawing board and apply or audition for your next show. And sometimes it might be a month, sometimes it might be many more. And it's a little up and down with the trajectory of things. And so staying positive and keeping busy and staying inspired between shows, I think sometimes is a difficult aspect of being a Broadway performer.
Mm-hmm. Well, does it take a lot of training to be a Broadway performer?
It can. It doesn't hurt. I think if you lean into, areas that interest you, that can only be beneficial. Growing up, I took a ton of dance classes because I wanted to, because it interested me. I took a lot of voice lessons, but you can even teach yourself at home. I took piano, but I taught myself a lot of piano on my own. And sometimes, people have just an innate natural gift and talent that doesn't necessarily need maybe extra training. But I think with any occupation, I think you always need to be learning. You always need to be challenging yourself. And, only good things can come from, constantly learning and trying to acquire new skills and honing the skills that you have. So it's not necessary, but I think it can definitely only help.
Now, I was in a show a few years ago with a theater in Sanford. It was a lot of work, but it was fun. So I know that you have to study and research each part. What is the process that you go through to get ready for a part, and how did you decide if a part is right for you?
Yeah, great question. So no matter what your role is in a show, it's important to know where and how it fits in to the story. So the moments that you're on stage and in a scene are important, but the moments that you're not are just as important. So when you're doing any show, you want to get as much information about it as you can. You want to read through it, you want to listen to the music, really pay attention to when your character is on stage and how they contribute to the story. And if it's set in a real time, in a real place, doing research about that time and about that place and what life was like is helpful and important. This story takes place approximately 2,000 years ago. So things were very different 2,000 years ago. So doing a bit of research about what life was like then is important.
Mm-hmm.
And just being as prepared as you can, so the material, and then you can go into the rehearsal process and be willing to work and collaborate with the directors and creative team.
Okay. Now, after I saw Jesus Christ Superstar, my dad asked me what was my favorite song, and I said your song was the best. It was fun and flashy, and I really liked the idea of walking across a swimming pool. What was your favorite part of the song?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, I'm a little partial. I kind of like the whole thing. There's a lot of different fun moments in the song. But what I love is really at the end when kind of everything comes together. There's all these flashing lights, there's smoke and fog, I have all of these dancers that are dancing around in these beautiful costumes. And I love the build and the progression of the song to the very end when everything kind of like erupts in chaos around me. It's a really fun 3 minutes, and the song's a really fun journey to the climactic ending.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was in a show. I had to memorize the exact dances and where to stand. Did you have to do the same for the HEROD song, or were you allowed to decide how you wanted to do it?
That's a great question. In this production, it was a little bit of both. You have to make your entrances, you have to hit your marks, which means being on a specific place on the stage or the set at a specific time so the lighting can hit you, and so you're not running into your castmates. So we had some bare bones about where I had to be and when, but the production team was really supportive in me creating a lot of what you may see on stage and bringing a lot of myself to the role. So it really was kind of a balance of being prepared in moments and then seeing organically where I could maybe create some moments.
Mm-hmm. So what was the hardest show that you had been a part of?
Absolutely, this show is the hardest one. It is
Why?
90 minutes. It's 90 minutes. There's no intermission. There's no break between the numbers. It's song after song after song. So if I'm not on stage, I'm off stage, changing my costume, trying to get a drink of water, trying to prepare for the next scene. And this show has a momentum. It like builds and builds and gets faster and faster. And while that can be exciting, it can also be challenging physically, mentally, and sometimes emotionally. We do 8 shows in 6 days. So that's a lot. Goodness indeed. So sometimes just getting through it from start to finish can be challenging, and this has been the most challenging show of my career.
Wow. So I see that you have been interviewed by lots of people about your career. What is the one question that people ask you way too many times?
Way too many times. I think sometimes people say, what is your dream role or dream show? And I don't necessarily think that that's, a bad thing either. I think, as a performer, it's important to know and think about what inspires you and what kind of show or role you would love to do. And in that way, you'll be prepared and on the lookout. So when that show may come along, you'll be ready to jump in at that audition and throw your hat in the ring. It's understandable people ask that. And I think it makes sense, knowing kind of where you may shine and where you may thrive, and knowing what inspires you can only help you on your journey.
Okay, but what is that one question that you wish they would ask you?
I think you asked it already. It's, what sometimes can be challenging or difficult about, being a performer or being in your profession, or what makes it different from other professions. Because, a lot of people see just the culmination of the journey and the hard work, which is what happens on stage. But in a career, that's only kind of 10% of the journey. It's a lot about all the auditions you go to and the jobs that you don't get, the times when you're not working and you're not in the spotlight and you're having to stay inspired. 99% of the time when you're a performer and a Broadway performer, you're not going to get the job. The answer is going to be no. And a lot of people don't see that. And, that happens behind closed doors. And that's just as much a part of the journey as when you get to see someone on stage, in their job and kind of relishing in the success of that moment and that audition that went really well. There's always so much more to the journey than what people may see from the audience.
Okay, but what was the craziest thing that happened while you were doing your job?
Oh gosh, we've had everything. At this point, we've done about I think last night we did like our 470th show. And
Jeez.
so anything that you could imagine could happen during a show has definitely happened. We've had fire alarms go off where then the curtain comes down and we have to pause. Sometimes there's an audience member who may need some medical assistance or, something, may come up. So we may have to pause the show.
Was one of them way too bloody?
Yeah, yeah. We try to keep the fake. We try to keep all that on stage. We got try to keep the drama on stage, but it's an audience full of people, and who knows what may happen. And then the usual things on stage. Someone may trip, someone may fall, a costume piece may fall off. Someone may sing a wrong note. But that's the excitement and the beauty of live theater is it's happening in that moment and it's live.
Too bad,
So
you already messed up. You got to keep on going.
See, that's where the phrase "the show must go on" comes from. And it's
I learned that.
Yeah, but it's like life. Sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes things happen that are out of our control, and you just have to keep moving forward. That's what makes it different from TV and movies. Is if there's a mistake, the director can say, "Cut. We need to try that again. We need to get it perfect." But when you're doing theater, you have one chance.
Only
and that's
one.
And that's what I think makes it exciting and fun.
So I thought your singing was amazing. Are you able to throw me some bars?
Thank you. Throw you some bars. You know what? I'll give you the first 2 lines that you may hear if you come see me. And then if you want to hear the rest, you can get a ticket. So the famous opening line that I sing when I walk down stage is, "Jesus, I am overjoyed to meet you face to face." And then you leave them wanting more. So those were a couple bars.
So if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
Oh gosh, maybe a surplus of coffee to give me energy to get through the shows, especially in those early matinees on the weekends. Those sometimes are difficult when you've done a show on a Friday night, you've ended around 10 at night, and then you have to be ready the next morning, the next day to go for a 1 p.m. matinee. I don't know. Maybe if I just had a surplus of extra energy, sometimes that would help.
So what is the greatest challenge that most Broadway performers are dealing with today?
I think that's a good question. I think what was challenging was, we're still in a pandemic and especially a couple of years ago in the early days, theater has always been about lots of people gathering in a space and watching something unfold on stage. And so sometimes when we aren't able to do that for a variety of reasons, that can make it challenging. And I think through it all, just the determination to keep going when you're told no so many times and to just keep trying and keep trying. I think that's maybe one of the biggest obstacles is to keep trying and keep putting yourself out there after being told no, or you're not right for this job time and time again. So it takes really thick skin to keep putting yourself out there and trying.
What advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a performer on Broadway?
I always say cultivate your interests outside of theater also, because then when you're between jobs, you'll have other things that you can go to that will inspire you and bring you happiness, whether that's, in instrument or a different kind of skill. whether that's writing or anything, playing an instrument, working with animals, the more interest that you have as just a fully realized and well-rounded human will not only make you happier off stage, but it will inform, your work as an artist too.
Hmm. Well, I wrote a radio show and podcast that talks about God during my Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
So I grew up going to church, and the lessons that I took from that, or I try to take, I have a spiritual kind of practice, is just recognizing that we're all here, we're all humans, to treat each other with kindness and to treat others how you would like to be treated, and to try and lead with love, towards yourself and towards your family and those also in your community, and knowing that it's not all and always about you. You're one small little speck of dust in this universe, and I think if you try to lead with love and compassion and friendliness, that's what I try to think about in my work, both on stage and off.
Okay. But what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Biggest mistake. So this is kind of a twofold question. I remember auditioning for a show, probably like 10 years ago, and it was for a role that's very much like Herod. It's the MC in Cabaret, and you need to take risks and go big and make big choices. And so during that audition, I was singing and running around, and I took a risk and I jumped up on the piano and sat and started singing, and the creative team wasn't feeling it. They were like, I don't know about that. Maybe that was a little too wild or a little too crazy. And so it may have been a mistake in their eyes. I learned that sometimes you have to take those big risks and make mistakes, because you'll only learn from them and you'll only grow from them. I think that kind of paved the way for when I had my Herod audition. I went in that room and I made huge choices that could easily be viewed as mistakes, but I was thinking it's better to go big, go big or go home. Part of the song in my audition, I jumped in and started playing on the piano, with the piano player, and was running around and, was, makeup and had hair extensions. And some people may have viewed those as mistakes, but I think if you're going to go for it, you got to go big. Some people may see it as mistakes. I don't. I think sometimes taking big risks can pay off. And so what I learned is go big.
Mm-hmm. So when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
So I love practicing yoga. I like doing yoga. I love to read. I also love to play piano and play ukulele. I love spending time with friends and family. I like being outside. I like getting into nature. I like biking and hiking and taking walks. And I travel with my 10-year-old rescue cat, Sir Lionel. So I take care of him and make sure that he is comfortable. And yeah, I do all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
So I was a big video game player when I was a little younger, and this may date me a little bit, but I was very big into SimCity 2000, Sim Tower, and I was big with Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother time.
Yep.
Yeah, these days.
Do you even play video games on your phone?
So I did play Angry Birds and Candy Crush for a little while. Yeah, but not too well versed in the video games these days.
Okay. So what is your favorite book to read?
My favorite book. That's also a really good question. I really like reading biographies of famous people. I think in historical figures, I think it's interesting, to know more about their lives and their journeys than maybe what we may think of at first hand. Just like when you're talking about Harriet Tubman, a lot of people picture her as
Yeah.
maybe like slightly older in those famous photos or pictures of her. But as you said, there's so much more to be learned about her life. And sometimes we may think we have an idea about who someone is or who someone was, but learning about the bigger picture and about their life journey can also be very interesting and rewarding. So I like to read biographies of lots of different kinds of people.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid show, but the one story, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Not supposed to tell you about. Let's see. I guess I have a kind of embarrassing story that made me really lose it on stage, and I could not stop laughing because again, I took a risk. I was in a production of Chicago playing the role of Mary Sunshine, and so I'm dressed as this like silly woman and being funny, and I'm wearing a skirt, and I thought during an instrumental part of the show that I could just dance around and do whatever I wanted to. So I tried to like do a spin and really just kind of lost my footing, got tangled in my costume. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ground and just face first on the ground, and the music had stopped. And I was embarrassed. I took a risk. It didn't work out.
It didn't work. No, it didn't.
It didn't work out. I ended up on the stage, and then I spent the rest of the act really trying not to lose it and just laughing uncontrollably when I needed to like keep it together. So that's sometimes.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
I'm a big proponent of really being true to yourself and embracing what makes you unique and what makes you special and what makes you stand out from the crowd. I think the most important thing is being true to yourself and just being unique. That's what makes the world go around. That's what makes it interesting. If everyone was the same and tried to be like everyone else, things would be pretty boring. So, for me, what does that mean? I like to wear jewelry. I like to wear shirts with wolves on them. I like to do the things that I like to do because it makes me happy. And I think if you are true to yourself and treat yourself with kindness, then that can only just make the world a better place. So I'm a big supporter of whatever makes you different, lean into it, put it on blast, because the world needs lots of different kinds of people, and there's nothing to be ashamed about if there's something about you that makes you different, maybe from other people that you know.
Well, do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners who want to follow you?
The best place these days is Instagram. You can see what I'm up to. I'm posting a lot of behind the scenes information from Jesus Christ Superstar. It's pretty easy. That's just my full name. I'm at Paul Louis Lessard. And from there, you can see videos or songs. It can direct you to my website, currently kind of under construction, but that's okay. But yeah, you can. Instagram is a good place to find me.
Okay. Well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Maybe. Maybe a specific piece of, advice for people who want to be performers and what I would give to them if that doesn't relate to just being on stage
Well,
or
what advice would
singing
you give them?
singing or dancing. What I would say is, I think if you want to be successful in kind of any area or any career choice, it's really important to be nice, to be friendly, because those are the kind of people that other people want to work with. Sometimes it's not enough just to be talented. It's about the person behind that talent and how you present yourself to the world. I think kindness is very important, and kindness is not weakness. I think kindness can be confidence also. And so no matter what you want to do, whether it's on stage or off, I think it's really important to be kind, because that's the kind of person that someone will want to collaborate with, someone will want to be around, someone will want to you want to be someone that people want to be around and be creative with. So
Okay.
that's my idea.
Okay, well, thank you, Paul, for being my special guest. Can you stick around
Oh
for
my
Math
gosh.
Corners?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I'll do my best. It's been a while since I've been in a math class.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Tiberius's favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Thank you, Paul, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. You know my dad loves showing me how math can be used in the real world. Today, we're going to talk about candy. Here we go! Tiberius received a bag of candy from his dad's client that has 67 pieces of candy in it. His dad said that he can only have 3 pieces of candy a day to ensure he does not have too much sugar. If Tiberius follows the rules, how many days will Tiberius get to enjoy eating candy if he only eats on weekdays? So this is a real-world situation because people do love to eat candy, and this really did happen to me when I was on a job with my dad. But I really don't think anyone could only just eat 3 pieces per day. I got an empty bag to prove it. See? It's empty. It's all empty. So first we have to take the total number of pieces of candy and divide that by 3 pieces a day, which he is allowed. That would be 22 1/3 days. So 22 days. Now how many days if he only eats on weekdays? So there are 5 weekdays per week. But wait! They only ask for the number of days, not weeks. This is an example of a too much information trap. Tiberius won't enjoy weekends with candy, so he only eats the days he counts are the days that he eats the candy, which would be 22 1/3 days. Nice try, Dad. So, Paul, do you think you can only eat 3 pieces of candy a day?
Surprisingly enough, I think I could. I'm not a huge candy fan. I know. But cookies would be a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah. I had a 12 dozen of cookies, like 2 dozen of cookies, ate them in 2 days.
They're gone.
Yep. So, Paul, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math in your job?
I do a ton of math. It's a lot of counting because there's a lot of music. And when you break it down, music is all about numbers. So in a show that's only music, it's constantly 1, 2, 3. I move on 4. I do this on 5. And then after 8, it starts again. So really, a musical show is just all about numbers.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for your help with Math Corners. And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So this week, my dad and I went axe throwing with my friend Giselle. This was our first time throwing an axe. As you know, I interviewed axe throwing expert Joe Lamp and learned a lot. I am also very competitive. So my dad realized that I was going to be much better while Giselle was still learning. So he designed a game where I had to match whatever target she hit, and if I did not match it, she won. So this way she could have fun learning how to axe throw, and I was still challenged with a task that made me work harder to compete. This was smart thinking and provided guidance and direction to ensure both people had a positive experience throwing the axe. A good leader will organize an event in a way that thinks about everyone's needs. So Paul, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
Yeah, so in our company, we have about 60 different people, including cast, crew, and musicians. And within that structure, we have different leaders who are responsible for the well-being of each person. So for our musicians, we have our music director who makes sure everyone is prepared with their music. We have our dance captains that make sure that everyone is doing the right dance moves on the right counts and the right numbers. And we also have our stage managers who make sure that everything that's happening on stage and off stage and with the crew is all happening together and everything goes smoothly. So we have lots of different kinds of leaders in our show.
Okay. Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which virtue do you see the most?
I think integrity. I think, we take a lot of pride in our work. We take it seriously. We think it's important and we do our best. We want to put our best work out there. And so I see a lot of integrity in our company and in the show that we put on every night.
Okay. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
I agree.
See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help people.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Paul Louis Lessard for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today. I think we learned a lot about Broadway and how much fun it is to be a performer. I can't wait to see what you decide to do next.
Oh man, Tiberius, thank you so much. This was a blast, and you are an amazing host and a great interviewer. Thanks so much again for having me. It's been fun.
No problem. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show, and please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and like and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!